And so in addition to just the trial itself, there are repeat characters in this book, probation officers and such, and juvenile department employees. Nobody is safe. And they're hysterical. They really are, because it comes from, true story stuff you can't make up. And so then what I do is I give each trial its own name, like the case of the fingerprint fairy, the case of the stolen car in the bakery, Legless Looney and Cheesy Chad. So they have funny names. And then also I give each character funny names that are repeat characters, like Miss Magnolia's paralegal is called Just in Case. So you have things like, one of my clients' name is Animosity, and she could only come to my office with a tinfoil hat, to block out the rays so that she could tell me her side of the story. And of course, some of the stories, is a way of educating the public that, you ultimately have to zealously advocate for your client. And even though, I try my best, truly I do, to sit down there across from them and say, I am on your side, I work for you, I want the right thing to happen for you, but help me out here. I want you to close your eyes, they're rocks, and I want you to visualize, a conservative jury, like we normally get here, and perhaps a judge that may or may not have a sense of humor, and then there's you get up there with, and I give them a white shirt, and collar, and take their piercings out and hope the hair grows out enough or gets cut enough that it doesn't, shock anybody, and then try to have them and say, all your priors will come against you, so visualize you're telling the jury that Officer Friendly in his nice blue-pressed suit and his shiny badge and his little ding dentine smile is lying. And so you sit there and say that Officer Friendly is lying, and then the jury looks at Officer Friendly and he said, no, that man over there did this. And visualize yourself, and I believe you, rocks, I really do. But what do you think's more likely than not going to happen? And then, because I think that's a way of getting your client invested in their case.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice way to build rapport. And then some of them, they have to kind of, process. And then, they'll come and, all right, I guess I'll take
a plea.
Well, yeah, I call it a more positive resolution to your case.
Okay.
Yes, and then there's some that are innocent, and I have those stories prominently in my book. And then there's some that, like Miss Tinfoil Hat, Animosity, who make you take cases to trial that, for a trial attorney, are very painful because you have to tell the jury the story. And we don't treat our jurors very well. Really, we don't. I mean, they get paid $10 a day. They don't get mileage. They don't get child care reimbursement. They don't even get lunch. They have to fight for parking. And they
don't even get a voucher for a cocktail or anything?
No.
Oh my God.
Shameless,
okay.
I know. And some employers will pay their employees to be there, but then there are often those that are self-employed or stay-at-home moms where, it's really an issue. So we're asking these wonderful people in our community to do their civic duty and sit there. And I'm certain that those jurors want to come in and hear, the juicy stuff, crime scene investigation, LA law, or, Boston legal, or this wonderful one we now have with Kathy Bates, the, Harry's Law.
Oh, okay,
with
yeah.
the shoe store. Oh my God, I just think that's so hilarious. But anyway, so you argue the case to the jury, and you can see this horrified look on their face, like they're going, is she really saying that out loud and on the record? Mm-hmm. Honestly, that's your story? You're sticking to it? And then, of course, while you try to make the best of it, we are, as lawyers, when the trial is done, are still not allowed to approach the jurors. Mm-hmm. And so this kind of can be difficult because they can approach us. And so in this small community, I often will see jurors that I've had, at the grocery store, at the bank, at the post office, at church. And you just want to run up to them and throw yourself on your knees and say, I'm so sorry, but I had to go forward with what my client said was, their position on it, and so I try to tell them, like in the fingerprint fairy case, that, well, this is a 10-point match. a 10-point match. And for those who know that, you almost never get a 10-point match. And
it's like you had to just go like this.
Exactly.
Dink.
Yes, and so he's been a frequent flyer in the system. And so he said, absolutely, no. I was, over here with my girlfriend partying, and I really don't know how they think that I went into this neighborhood in the dead of a cold night in February and got into this van and attempted to steal it. And I'm saying, but it's a 10-point match, and the only fingerprints are on the dashboard and the steering wheel and the driver's side door and the seat where you adjusted it, and so I was wanting my client to get involved, and I said, okay, well, what will be what's our defense? We have an eyewitness seeing you get in and pull out in his car and drive off. And then, the lights and siren of all our McMinnville's finest, wanting to protect and serve, descend upon this neighborhood way across from where he said he was. And he had abandoned the car 5 blocks down and ran, so of course I have snowy little footprints to kind of follow before they disappear. And they were able, because of the frost, to absolutely get a 10-point match. So I hired an expert and, said, well, I've got news for you there, Rox. There are your fingerprints. And so when I'm asking him, well, what will be my opening argument? What is our defense? And he got all upset at me and said, well, hell, I don't know. That's your job. You're the attorney. And I'm kind of like, all right, well, I'm going with the fingerprint fairy defense. I meant it, funny. And he was not amused at all and said, you got to take my case, seriously. So anyway, these are the stories of the Miss Magnolia, as we roll along with these characters. And I think it's going to be a scream.
I think it's going to be a scream too. And one of the truths of the matter is that you can keep the Miss Magnolia series rolling. I mean, and after you do retire, you can start in on the cases of your colleagues.
Well, sadly, that is true, and I say sadly because that this is my retirement plan. Kind of like buying a lottery ticket. This is my retirement plan. I'm a single divorced woman, and I, of course, left Mr. Dirty Rat, who broke my heart, with nothing but his van and his socks. But even that, it's hard to start over again, So I am counting on this being my retirement plan. So I will work until they give me large advance checks and, yes, lay on a...
And you can buy a house in the Hamptons or something.
Oh, absolutely.
No, John Grisham, he's on one of those islands in North Carolina, isn't he?
Well, I think so. I think when you're up there like that, you get to buy an island, don't you?
Yeah, you might.
I mean, yeah, and then, I think I work best in a sort of a Caribbean-style atmosphere with, garçons spritzing Evian water on me when I'm hot. And
I'm liking
mariachi music in the background and those little festive drinks with the umbrella.
I'm liking that, too.
Or even the funny ones that are in the coconut, or that are in the whole pineapple.
Wait a second. How about the one where they carve the coconut into the monkey face?
Oh, yeah.
And then the straw goes down through his head, which of course comes off, and then okay.
Oh, absolutely.
I like it.
Yes. And so then when you open the book and you look back at the picture of the author, there will be me with monkey face or pineapple face or festive umbrella in a lounge chair, white sandy beach, being waved at with palm fronds.
Have you by any chance ever read anything by Rita Mae Brown?
Yes,
I most particularly like the story where was it the chief of police or the presiding judge passed on under suspicious circumstances in the bordello. And so they rolled him up in an old rug, and they took him back and they stuck him in his office. They even redressed him in all of his clothes. But what nobody could figure out when they came the next day and they discovered this poor man who'd keeled over working hard at his desk is how he had all those little mouse poops in his hair.
Oh, tricky business moving around bodies, yes.
And I thought, when you were talking about that, I thought, I remember that book. That was actually really funny.
Well, there's quite a few of them out there, and I also like the one the ones with the sweet potato queens. You know, I've read all those. I think those are just hilarious. That everybody wants to be a sweet potato queen. So I'm really hoping to start my own cult of everybody wanting to be a Miss Magnolia.
Yeah, well, I don't see why not. I love that.
I like
now,
that idea a
okay,
lot.
so that's about the books now. But you also do stand up. Is that what I'm getting to understand?
Yes, not for pay, of course, but I have. For certain select groups and volunteer things and fundraisers and different things like that, I have gone up and, you know, done a little shtick, and they laugh, and that's great. So, and you know you're under pressure when, for a long time, I was appointed by John Kitzhaber when he was previously governor, and you know, confirmed by the Senate to be the chair of the Commission for Women. And we had our annual fundraiser, which was a dinner and auction, and
what a novel concept!
I know.
Okay.
And you know, of course, all the board members were required to make sure that, by God, they got 10 bodies at that table, and they all paid their $65, you know, and you know, chipped in for, you know, the centerpieces and all that. And then I would get up there and, you know, my sparky dress and my hair all in the dew, and then do comedic things, trying to get people to you know, bid on different things, you know, and so I'm not a wine drinker. I appreciate those that are, but I just you know, grew up on the kind that's in the box with maybe a little seltzer and lots of ice cubes.
Okay.
And I know that it's just absolute blasphemy in a wonderful place like this that grows such wonderful stuff. But my mother is a connoisseur, and so you're learning how to say things like Pinot Noir correctly. And for me, I didn't, so I just, you know, would get the bottle up there, and there's, I swear, 500 people out there. We're talking senators, judges, people from the governor's office. You know, these are not, you know, just your ordinary folks, and I'm trying to, you know, put a little fun into it, and so I'm saying, okay, here we have a case of Pinot Noir wine, you know, and then they're laughing, and I'm saying, well, you know, they tell me it's good, you know, and so anyway, but so I've had lots of little practice along the way, and I always know it's a good run when at least one person that I can spot, you know, out of my eye has snorted out water or coffee or whatever they're drinking, and then I kind of think, well, that's my
My work here is done.
My work here is done, yes. Somebody of value laughed, you know, so of course, you know, there you have it. And my favorite thing to do in court all the time, you know, people see me coming and it's just, you know, oh God, Janmarie, please no. And because you're supposed to be very, you know, proper, sitting in the back and waiting for your turn. And then I'll go back there and try to get the probation officers, you know, just laughing until they are like snorting. And then, you know, you get the stern look from whatever, the hairy eyeball from the judge, you know, quiet back there, you know, but, you know, if they can't see my mouth moving, like most lawyers, you know, I meant that funny. But anyway, you know, to go ahead and, you know, talk to them about, you know, no, I don't want you to throw my client under the bus. You know, he's redeemed himself. And so I do. I very much enjoy trial work, and I love working with all kinds of different people. Learned a lot about different kinds of ink and tattoos and piercings in unspeakable places, and still to maintain your composure and professionalism, and you know, take down their side of the story, and really there are innocent people out there that deserve, you know, good and wonderful defense, and I really enjoy doing that. I'm committed. I mean, you know, as much as it may sound otherwise, I laugh, you know, for the purposes of the book, but I take my job very seriously.
Well, we really appreciate you being here today, and I'm looking forward to you coming back, because I understand that we're going to schedule you again to maybe hear a little bit more from you, maybe a story. Maybe
yes, I will come back whenever you fit me in and tell the story of Southern Comfort Landscaping Services.
Well, thank you very much for being here today, Jan.
And thank you for having me.